Good afternoon, folks. Aaron Dorr here with Iowa Gun Owners. I was hoping to be on with you guys earlier today. I don't know if anybody else has this problem today or not, but with this rain in central Iowa and all the snow melting around our house, we've had some leaky basement problems today. Spent most of the day working on the basement and getting the snow scooped away from the deck and the side of the house with my kids because this is getting to be a lot of rain down here in central Iowa. So hopefully you guys are someplace dry, someplace warm. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm pretty tired right now. This is probably going to be, usually I have a little more of an agenda, a little more of an outline, if you will, in my head of what I want to cover in these videos. Today's going to be a little more laid back. I got a little more time on my hands. And there's just so much going on that we have to talk about. I want to hit some of these key points today, but mostly it's going to be just kind of a conversation with you guys. I got some more time today. You know, we had a member send us a photograph. As you guys get signed in, as always, let me know you're watching from. Like I said, it's kind of going to be a bit of a loose format today. If you're getting signed in right now, you see Leonard Johnson says heavy snow in Mason City. Yeah, Leonard, like I said, we didn't have any snow here today. Well, we had a little bit. Most of what we had was rain, and it's got our basement wet. So I was there most of the morning, most of the afternoon with my boys scooping the snow away from the side of the house and trying to keep the basement dry. It's been crazy. I wish we sold sump pumps here at IGO because it'd be a good day, I'm sure. So, guys, a little more of a loose, laid-back approach today. I have a little more time on my hands than what I ordinarily would have because my whole day got shot to heck with this. So, folks, we're just here to talk to you guys and kind of go over what's been going on down here in Des Moines and kind of let you see kind of how the game is played and how easily we can be lied to by lawmakers. I want to give you an example. We've talked a lot over the last week or 10 days now about Senator Jason Schultz, and we'll make time to come back to Jason later on when it's the appropriate time to do so. But I had a member call me last night, and he's from Hull, and he said, what is the deal with the House? We know what happened in the Senate. We know that they killed the bill, at least in the Judiciary Committee. What's going on in the House? And I said, well, as you know, there's been a couple bills drafted in the House, our bill and other bills in the House, and not one of them was granted a subcommittee. Not one of them was given a committee action, and they all had the same death that the Senate side gave to our gun bill in the last couple of days. And so it's the same situation. And what's funny to me was what this member, he's a lifetime member, good friend of mine, he's a guy I've known for a long time anyway. And he said, I'm not really surprised. He said, because, he said, my rep is Skyler Wheeler. And he's going to be kind of the example that we're talking about today. And he said, I see Skyler is on Facebook attacking Iowa gun owners, and he's attacking you. And I can't figure out why he would do that, since he said, didn't I see KTIV TV ads that your PAC ran in his race when he first ran for office in 2016? And it kind of got me laughing. So he and I ended up talking last night for about a half an hour. And it was crazy because he was kind of reminding me, you work so many campaigns or involved in so many races, after a while they kind of run together. But it reminded me that in 2016, Dwayne Lunds had passed away. And if anybody here is watching right now from Western Iowa, give me a thumbs up. Give me some indication. Anybody here from Western Iowa? I grew up in Western Iowa in Osceola County, but we spent all of our Sundays at Grandpa and Grandma's farm in Sioux County, right next door. And I pretty much I lived in Sioux County. When I was in college and I was paving Highway 20 for a road crew back to pay my way through college, we paved Highway 20 from the Perkins in the edge of Sioux City on Highway 20 out all the way to Lawton. I lived at my grandparents' house for months during that time. So I know Sioux County like the back of my hand. And so this is a very great part of the state. The state's great, but Sioux County is great people, great lawmakers. And Dwayne Lunds held that seat, as everybody here probably knows. And if you don't, you missed out on getting a chance to meet one of the best statesmen that I ever had the pleasure of working with in all my years in the state capitol. Dwayne Lunds was one of those kind of guys that if you met him, He was a little bit of, he was a dichotomy, because Dwayne Allons was not super flashy. He wasn't super flamboyant, although I bet when he was driving his fighter jet in the military, when he first caught Clarice's eye, I bet he was pretty flashy back then. But when I knew him, he was an older man. He wasn't super flashy. He wasn't super loud. He was, in fact, kind of the opposite. He was quiet and deliberative, and just the kind of guy who was as solid as a rock. He was just as solid as a rock. And he was never flappable. He never sold his vote for power. He didn't even really seek it. His job in his mind was to come down to Des Moines, represent House District number 4, or whatever it was called when he first got in office. May have been House District number 2, but now it's House District number 4. And he was going to fight for the causes that he cared about. That's it. He wasn't part of the games. He wasn't part of the bar scene. He wasn't out there in the weekends cruising around. He was just a super, super principled man who fought as hard as he could for what he cared about, what his district cared about. And he passed away. He passed away late in 2014, and I missed his funeral, which was really difficult because I had another funeral for a family member that had happened at the exact same time, and it was a very difficult situation. I couldn't get to where I had to go at the same time, so I missed his funeral. But that's who has held this seat in Western Iowa for, I don't know, maybe someone can tell me, 14 years, maybe 12, 14, 15 years. Long time. And there's a 2-year interlude with somebody else, but then for the last couple of years now, in 2016, Skyler Wheeler runs for this seat. Now, Skyler Wheeler is on his Facebook page right now, and he says, and it's a direct quote, he says, there's only 2 pro-gun lobbyists at the Capitol. Their names are Richard Rogers with the Iowa Firearms Coalition and Scott Jones with the NRA. Again, those are the only 2 pro-gun lobbyists who are actually fighting to advance your gun rights at the Capitol. Now, he's a state representative, right? He's got a big title. So, if you read that, you're probably like, well, yeah, that is what it is. That is what it is. Here's the thing, though. You guys all know the truth about Dumb Dick Rogers. You know what he did, right? Here's a guy who bungled the constitutional amendment program so badly that it set us back for years. Here's the guy who bungles their organization's endorsements so bad that they gave a B, which is a freaking decent grade, to Representative Norland Momsen, who is now out there attacking constitutional carry. This guy screws up everything he touches. And we all know it. We all know this. We all know it. With regards to the NRA, I think we all know what's going on here right now. You guys all know the problems that gun owners are having across the country with the NRA. We all know what's going on here. The NRA bungled the not bungled. The NRA said they were okay with bump stock bans, and so now we have a bump stock ban. It was the NRA who came out and said, "Hey, we're okay with fixed NICS." This was this bill that creates this massive database of people that could have their guns taken away. And the NRA then, after the Parkland, Florida shooting just over a year ago, was out there saying that, hey, we're okay with a red flag gun seizure bill. In fact, I was talking to some of my friends yesterday at Gun Owners of America, and they were telling me how the NRA has now released a new set of criteria on the types of red flag gun seizure laws that they're willing to support. And they're hoping that somehow this new list of demands is going to make red flag gun seizure laws better. You know what's not? I read this. We'll perhaps cover these in the video in a couple of days. I read these bullet points over piece by piece, word by word yesterday, and and it's the same thing. There's no requirement. There's no requirement for convictions. You can lose your guns without being convicted, without being indicted, without being arrested. You can lose your guns. So this is who the NRA is. And so we all know, as gun owners, I think, we all know what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with I'm reading some of the comments here. We're dealing with the NRA who, maybe they have some decent guys here and there. They do in certain places. But when it comes to as a national organization, these guys are doing horrendous things. We all know this. Red flags, bump stock ban, you name it. You name it. So Skyler is sitting here saying that, wow, the only organizations to support here in Iowa and the only lobbyists that are fighting for you in Des Moines is the Iowa Firearms Coalition and the National Rifle Association. And so this guy, my friend from Hull, he calls it to my attention and he says, he's like, I find that funny. He's like, didn't you guys do a bunch of TV ads in his district? And I kind of laughed because I went back and found them last night on my hard drive because we got Skyler out here attacking us now, whole hog. And now he's out there. He seems to totally forgot that when he was screwed in a three-way primary, when Skyler Wheeler was desperate for support in his three-way primary, he's the one that caught. I see Cecil Steffman here. Guys, I'm kind of off track a little bit because I'm freaking tired right now, but I just saw Cecil's comments. No red flag laws ever. Cecil, we could not agree more. We have fought these into the dirt here in Iowa. Hopefully they do not resurrect yet this session, but if they do, we'll be here to beat them into the dirt again. So I could not agree more with Cecil. And guys, again, let me know where you're watching from. It's kind of a crazy combination of rain and snow today. It's just bizarre here in Des Moines. Let me know how it is where you're at. And so we have Skyler Wheeler, who he calls me, and his campaign people call us, and they say Skyler needs help, and he wants to meet. Can you meet with Skyler? And you might be asking yourself, is this a man or a woman? It's a fair question. It's a fair question. Fair question. No, it's a guy. Skyler is a young kid. He played baseball, I think, in college, and then he got elected. That's what he's done. No world experience, no life experience. And that's who. So yeah, Skyler is a guy. I had someone texting me right now offline asking that question. Jason Doblar says, Skyler has had my support from the beginning. That's great, Jason, but keep watching this video because there's some things that we learned yesterday that I think you should know. You're obviously in, I presume you're in Northwest Iowa, Jason, where my grandparents live, where I grew up. So I know your region well. And I want to kind of go through this. So we meet with Skyler. We're sitting there at the Pizza Ranch in Sioux Center. Probably a lot of you guys have been there. It's a great place to go, phenomenal place to go. I've been there a lot. So we're in the Pizza Ranch. We're in the little party room. And he's sitting here saying how the establishment is just so difficult. The establishment is coming after us, so hard, and how he has this guy, the guy running against him, whose name currently escapes me. It's been a couple of years now, who was attacking him on being, and this guy is moderate on the unborn. He's moderate on guns. And he says, if you guys can help me, I'll be a fearless champion for gun rights. I'll be a champion for the conservative agenda. I see Roger says, we need to have a lawsuit against every agent who passes a red flag bill. That's going to be something that has to be talked about, Roger, when that time comes. That's a real problem. I see Ron here, my friend, getting checked in right now from Osceola watching. Hope you're doing safe down there. The guys, so I grew up right next to Sioux County. My grandparents still live there. In fact, I'm going to go see them next weekend. Look forward to getting back up there and seeing my grandparents. So I know this district, this county, cares about three things. Like over all else, they care about three things: protecting agriculture, right? It's freaking Sioux County. It's the best dirt in the world. It feeds the most people per acre in the world. It's the best dirt in the world, not just in Iowa, not just in America. It's the best dirt in the world. Everybody here in Iowa knows that. They care about agriculture. They care about guns, and they care perhaps more than anything else about babies, about the unborn. That's Sioux County, Iowa. It's a great place to be. Phenomenal. So I'm sitting here talking with Skyler, and Skyler tells me, he's like, I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to fight for all these things that we all care about. And Skyler signed our candidate survey, 100% pro-gun, promised to do all these things. And so I went back, left the meeting, And I think we had a second meeting too. We had a couple meetings over that summer. But I got back to my office, talked to our PAC directors, our PAC board members. You know, this seat, I think we should invest our PAC donor money in this seat. And they said, well, you know, why? And I said, well, I talked to Skyler Wheeler, and he said he's going to be a true blue champion. He's going to be a fighter for the Second Amendment. And I said, and guys, and this is what I told our PAC board. I said, to be totally honest, I don't know this kid from Adam, if he's going to be worth a hoot or not. He's like 14 years old, the way it looks, and I'm not even sure the guy's ever shaved. I said, but what really matters to me is that this was the seat that our friend held. This was the seat that Dwayne Allons held. This man was an iron wall for gun owners in that seat. He was an iron wall for babies. He was an iron wall for conservatives. And this man's legacy, this man's seat, it deserves to be protected. And so with this three-way primary that was going on back then, and I found the guy's name. It's Jeff Vanderwerf, Jeffrey Vanderwerf. Jeff Vanderwerf was a horrible moderate candidate, terrible candidate. And he was terrible on babies, terrible on guns, terrible on all kinds of stuff. And so he was just out there attacking guns. He did not want to have stand your ground law, did not want to have constitutional carry. He's a terrible guy. But because of how much, and I see Nate here has it right. He says, God, country, family, we cannot protect them without our gun rights. That's exactly how Dwayne Allons felt. That's exactly how I've always felt. I don't always talk about personal stuff. I don't always have time to talk about personal stuff. I got 6 kids. My boys, we were out there today scooping snow and ice away from our house. Our basement's getting wet. Probably half your basements are getting wet. I was out with my boys scooping snow and scooping ice and just watching these guys, these young men, 13, 11, and what is he, 8. These are my three older boys. Watching them, work and looking through the window in my back deck, looking at my daughters, helping my wife do dishes in the kitchen. I mean, this is why we do this, right? This is why we fight so hard, because we love our children. We love our grandchildren. I don't have any yet, but I have high hopes. We love our country. We love our state. And we're committed to fighting. We're committing ourselves to standing up for the legacy that our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and our forefathers, all the way back to the beginning of this country, that they gave us. This is who we are. This is who we all are. You guys are the same way. This is a family, and we fight like dogs for our family, our children, that's who we are. We fight for these people. And so after I sat down and talked with Skyler Wheeler, I see Leonard Johnson says, amen, amen. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up, because this is about more than guns to me. This is about a worldview. This is about, our freedom. This is about lawmakers who work for us. This is about fighting to defend the Constitution that our forefathers paid for with their blood. And so we care deeply when a candidate meets with us and gives us their commitment, because as Nate says, damn straight, we're here to protect these freedoms, these rights. That's what it's all about for us. And it obviously is for you guys. I'm reading the comments here from you guys. You guys obviously agree. Like Jim Hill says, yeah, I'm swimming today in my basement too. Sometimes family swims together, and sometimes we fight together. Today, Jim, you and I, we both have wet basements, and we're all swimming together today. And so we meet with Skyler, and he says, he's going to be this champion. He's begging for help. And he was begging, in particular, he was begging for TV ads, because Jeff Vanderwerf was attacking him on TV, left, right, and center. And he said, can you guys help with TV ads? And so, our 501c4 cannot coordinate at all with candidates. We could never do that. But our political action committee, which you guys have helped to fund over the years, this is how we can go out there and expressly advocate for candidates. So I'm not sure how much it was. We threw down, I'm not sure if it was 3,000, 5,000. It wasn't a ton. But we threw down $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 of your money, our donor money, in this district. These ads ran on KTIV Channel 4. Everybody in Western Iowa knows there's two places you go for the news. It's Keloland out of Sioux Falls or KTIV Channel 4. That's what it's always been. So that is the place that we want to go. Dennis Pulse, my good friend, says freedom isn't free. It took lives and guns for our flag, and it must be protected. It must be protected. That's exactly right. And so we go on TV for Skyler Wheeler, and we tell people who to vote for, because this is what our PAC can do. And what's crazy is that, the PAC, when you do a TV ad like this, here's how this works. You get cheaper pricing as a PAC if you do it coordinated with the campaign. And so we coordinated, which is 100% legitimate, these expenditures with the campaign. And that way we could do more TV ads. The goal here was to be efficient. The goal was to get the maximum number of TV ads that we possibly could for the money that we were spending. And so that's what we did. And so the ads were not just, it wasn't that, there's no question that Skyler Wheeler got the ads because it had to be authorized by Wheeler for Iowa House, whatever it's called. And guys, if you're watching right now, we're talking about the latest attack, the latest person in Des Moines who thinks that it's okay to take a swipe at Iowa gun owners. And they're trying to convince themselves that they can do that and get away with it. Well, we're talking about one of those little man boys today, Skyler Wheeler. He might be 25. I don't know. Yeah, that's a guy. I see my brother-in-law Alan watching right now. And I think Alan's probably wondering what I was always wondering when I first heard the name. Is that a guy or a girl? No, Skyler is a guy. And to be totally honest, until I met this Skyler, the only Skyler I heard about was what was his name? Walter White's wife, and they were cooking up meth on that TV show. That's the only Skyler I ever knew. So I didn't like any Skylers before, that's for sure. I see we got folks getting signed. I see Leonard Johnson, my good friend. Leonard says, I gave my right knee when I was in the 82nd Airborne Rangers in Grenada protecting our rights. All of them, just not the ones that certain people like, but all of them. Leonard, that's just a humbling thing. I can't even, I talk about freedom because it's what I care about the most deeply. But when a guy like you gave your knee, man, guys, give me a thumbs up for Leonard Johnson. What a guy. What a guy. And this is the kind of people that represent Iowa gun owners. All these people in Des Moines, they sit there and convince themselves that Iowa gun owners, well, that's Aaron Dorr. That's Aaron Dorr. No, it's not. Aaron Dorr is the mouthpiece who talks to lawmakers, who reports what's happening in Des Moines, and comes back to you guys with the information. Sometimes I come back with a bloody nose. Sometimes with a busted up mouth. That's okay. That's okay. Because when I got guys here, members like Leonard Johnson, who gave his right freaking knee in the 82nd Airborne Rangers Division in Grenada, protecting our rights, it reminds me that the hits I take in Des Moines, this is nothing compared to what people like you, compared to our forefathers, compared to what our founding fathers paid, with the price they paid for our freedom. So the little hits that I take from Senator Schultz and all these people across the state who are trying to muzzle us and attack us, this is nothing compared to what so many people out there, the price that so many people out there have actually paid. I got Jeff Wheeler watching right now from Ladora. I'm not sure if Skyler Wheeler is family with you, Jeff. If he is, could be a tough video to watch, but we're going to go through it. We're talking about Skyler Wheeler. This is the guy who tells us in the Pizza Ranch, and I already had some guys here that they've done lots of business deals, they say, in Pizza Ranch. Well, haven't we all? Haven't we all? We're sitting there in Pizza Ranch, and he tells me he's going to be a champion in the mold of Dwayne Alon's. We already described Dwayne. If you guys are getting signed in right now, Dwayne Alon's is one of those kind of guys. I swear he comes across once every generation in elected office. This guy was the most ferocious champion for babies, for guns, for agriculture that I've ever seen in all my years in the Iowa House. All of them. He was incredible. He was incredible. And this is who Skyler wanted to replace. And so we're like, all right. And if he wants to do it and he signs a survey, then we'll back him with our PAC money. And so we took a couple $1,000 of your PAC money and ran these TV ads. And it was on KTIV Channel 4. And it ran for, I'm not sure how many days, probably 4 or 5 days, the last key days before the primaries in general in 2018. And I'm not sure if it was the primary or the general or both. These TV ads ran, but they ran, and people were getting all kinds of comments on this. I'm reading the comments here. Let's see, Ashley said what Aaron is telling you. Yeah, Dave is posting Wheeler's comments. My good friend Dave is posting the comments that little Skyler has posted on his page. He's telling everybody how the only gun rights organization in Des Moines who's fighting for you, the only lobbyists who are fighting for gun rights, is the Iowa Firearms Coalition's Dumb Dick Rogers and the NRA's Scott Jones. That's what he's talking about. He says that nobody else is fighting. It's just kind of funny, isn't it? Because when he was scared to death, when he was desperate for help, when he was terrified he was going to lose his election, who did he call? Who did he call? He called Iowa gun owners. He knew the only organization in Iowa who would get involved in a primary and fight like a dog was Iowa gun owners. Jason Dovlar says, what's the point? Jason, I'm getting to it, man. But today I'm just not in a rush, so stick around, because we're going to talk about the most horrific betrayal, Jason, that you could possibly imagine coming from Skyler. And I'm building up to it. And I just learned this last night, because trust me, Jason, anybody else who's watching right now, if I had known yesterday what I know today about Skyler's record, I would have been all over Facebook Live yesterday. So give me a minute, Jason. It's been a long week already, huh? So he gets elected. He gets elected because of the work of gun owners. And it wasn't just the TV ads that we ran. It was a house-to-house lit dropping campaign. I see my good friend Steve Visker watching right now. Steve was there with me. Bunch of volunteers, bunch of my kids. We were all out there, and we lit dropped this entire district. We told everybody out there how incredibly pro-gun he was, how he was willing to fight just like, Randy Feenstra has fought for all these years for gun owners in Des Moines. And we told this up one side and down the next. And what Skyler told us he would do was he was going to fight for constitutional carry, and he was going to sponsor the bill when he got elected. I see so many friends are getting signed in right now. I see Ellen, I see Jeff, I see Steven. You guys got to back up when this video is done and kind of watch where we've been in this broadcast, because we got a little more time a day. It's been kind of a weird weekend. And so we're kind of taking a little bit of a stroll back in kind of where we've been and kind of describing some of these state reps who are going out of their way now to attack Iowa gun owners. But when they were in a world of hurt for their election, they called us, begging us for help. And one of those today is Skyler Wheeler. So Skyler says he is going to sponsor constitutional carry. So Skyler gets elected, gets past his primary, gets past his general, and he gets to Des Moines. Comes down to Des Moines. He's been here, he played college ball. I think he worked in Staples maybe for a little bit. He's not from Iowa. He's from either Washington or Oregon. He came out here to play ball for a little bit. He saw an opportunity to jump into the Capitol, jump into to politics. He took it, and with the help of gun owners and pro-lifers, which is the two biggest issues in Sioux County, he got in there. I see Dan Brown, my good friend, says keep the fight IGO is the only ones fighting for gun owners. I appreciate that, Dan. It means a lot. I got Tim watching, Tim Denigan, perhaps, from Sioux City, not too far from Sioux County. Knows the area well, I'm sure. It's a great place here in the state. So Skyler Wheeler comes down to Des Moines, and so I am working with him, talking to him, texting him, messaging him, and say, hey, we're getting ready to go. We have this working bill draft from the year before. All you have to do is take it to LSA. They will get this thing, renumbered, and you can get this thing dropped in the hopper, and we're good to go. We're good to go. And this is after we've done all this work. We fought hard. We covered all these seats, all these houses, going door to door, house to house, TV ads, everything. We're going to take care of this guy. because he's going to take care of us. That was our decision. So Jason, I'm sorry, Jason. I've had Jason Schultz on my mind for such a long time that now it's hard to break that train of thought. So Skyler comes down to Des Moines. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your kind comments. And he tells me within, I don't know, it was 10 days, 12 days. It was right away. He says, no, I'm not going to sponsor constitutional carry. And I may actually still have that thread. I'm going to check my phone. No, we're not friends anymore on Facebook. We were friends when we needed my help. We were friends when we needed to have the money from Iowa Gun Owners PAC. I don't think we're friends now, so I'm not sure I can find the comment. But he says, I'm not going to do it. And so I sent him a great big LOLOL. I see Damien has posted Skyler Wheeler's comments. I appreciate that. So he says, I'm not going to do it. So I sent him an LOL. I thought he was teasing. I thought this guy is kidding because I know that in Western Iowa, I know that in Sioux County, your word is your bond, right? I mean, anybody here in Western Iowa, hell, anybody here in Iowa knows your word is your bond. You take the support from an organization, you're going to sponsor the bills. That's what you do. Dwayne Alun's always sponsored gun bills for us. Dwayne Alun's loved sponsoring gun bills. He loved to fight for us down here in Des Moines. Crazy stuff. So all of a sudden, Skyler says, no. And I say, LOL. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And so I go to talk to him in the Capitol. He won't come and talk with me. Won't come out. Won't come say a word. He just totally says, screw you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And it wasn't just the first year. He didn't do it last year. And this year, it's kind of funny. And I see Jason Dovlar. I think Jason's getting impatient. Jason, I'm going to get to it. Because what we're going to talk about, I got it right here. What we're going to talk about is the House Journal from January 30, 2017. We're going to talk about one of the votes that Skyler did cast, and you're going to want to hear about it. So before you get all upset and take off, just hang on. Just hang on. I see my good friend Steven says, I used to work with Matt Winchell in Council Bluffs. I thought he was pro-gun. That's kind of the thing, Steven. We all thought these guys were pro-gun, and they're all pro-gun when it suits their purposes. But all of a sudden, when it doesn't suit their purposes, they ain't pro-gun anymore. That's just how it works. So Skyler won't do it. Didn't sponsor the bill. Didn't sponsor it last year. And this year, I sent him a note. I sent him, and the Capitol, if you want to talk to a state rep, you can text them, of course, if you have their number, or you can send a little note. It's a little note at the front door. You give your name and number, who you're with, and the date and time, and say, I'd like to talk to you out here in the Capitol. And so that's what we that's what we sent him. That was the note we sent in. He wouldn't come out and talk. And so Iowa Gun Owners deployed an email in Western Iowa in House District number 4. And we said, folks, just so you know, Terry Akers just posted Skyler's comment again. I think maybe people are shocked that Skyler would be so stupid as to post this. And so I think people are shocked to see it's actually up there, but it's there. So Skyler says he's not going to come out. I'm not going to come and talk. So we do an email into Western Iowa, and we tell all of our supporters in Western Iowa, we say, this guy took a campaign promise, a pledge to fight for constitutional carry. He promised he was going to be as tough as Dwayne Alun's, which is impossible because everybody in Western Iowa knows that man, quiet, steady, resolved, that guy was unflappable. So Skyler could never possibly hope to measure up anyway. But that being said, he said he's going to do it. And so, folks, you should give him a call or text him or email him and tell him to stop being a chump. Tell him to keep his promise, because Skyler wouldn't co-sponsor our constitutional carry bill. He wouldn't co-sponsor House File 118. He wouldn't co-sponsor Representative Shipley's bill. He didn't co-sponsor Representative Winchell's bill. He did nothing. And so we said, Skyler, buddy, keep your promise. So what does he do? What does little Skyler Wheeler do? He files, after we begin to light him up, Skyler Wheeler files constitutional carry And he does so knowing that the funnel deadline was immediately apparent. He knew there was no way that this bill would have time to progress. He didn't do it the first day of session. He didn't do it the first week of session like Representative Shipley did. He didn't do it the first week of session, or maybe it was right away in the Senate chamber like we did over there. He waits for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then right before the deadline, right before the funnel deadline comes, all of a sudden, whoosh, he files constitutional carry. Now, did he work to get co-sponsors? Did he try to actually put time into this to actually get it done? Did he circulate a co-sponsor sheet in the House to help support the bill? No. Nope. What he did was he said, well, I'm just going to file it because this way I can try and tell gun owners that I have kept my promise, when we all know how this works, don't we? Iowans aren't stupid. We all know exactly how this works. If you're serious about the bill, and I see my good friend Phil calling right now. Folks, give me just 1 second. I got to answer Phil's question. Phil, I'm on Facebook Live right now and can't talk, so let me give you a call back in a little bit. Thanks. And so that call I had to answer, guys. Sorry about that. And so he does it knowing that the only thing is being done for is to try to get gun owners off his back, to perpetuate the lie that he is actually a champion for gun owners. Jeff Harsh says, I have, not sure that refers to, we'll keep under consideration. That's the email that I got back. Jeff, wait, because we're just getting going. I see the comment here from Greg Cummings, and he says, why don't the Iowa Firearms Coalition and Iowa gun owners coordinate and unite? Well, that's a great question, Greg. And that's a good question because, gosh, what was that? I mean, 6 years ago, 7 years ago or more, we actually sent letters to the Iowa Firearms Coalition. We sent letters to Chris Cox. We sent letters to GOA. We sent letters to every gun rights organization at the national level, and the only two here in Iowa, and said, now is the time to fight for constitutional carry. So can you join us, stand with us, and fight to do it? And at that time, their president was a guy named Sean McClanahan. And guys, I see my good friend Tom Osmond getting on right now. I see so many people who are on here right now. You've got to go back and watch this video from the beginning once we're done. But it's that. So I meet with I said, hey, let's meet. Let's sit down and meet, and let's talk. And no response from the Iowa Firearms Coalition for weeks. And then finally, I get a call or a text. I can't remember, from their director, their president. They've had so many presidents over the last 10 years. I can't keep them all straight. I think he was a president. And he says, you know, let's meet. Let's have breakfast. He stands me up, doesn't come to the breakfast, doesn't want to chat. And ever since that time, they've been attacking Iowa gun owners relentlessly. They've been attacking us relentlessly. I think, going back to your question, Greg, the reason why is that these people's MO, their modus operandi, is to get on their knees every day in the Capitol and beg and kiss and plead and do whatever they can do to help to try to get people to respect them. That's never how we advance gun rights. That's never how we advance freedom. Look at President Trump. Does anybody see President Trump sit there and get on his knees and beg? Anybody? No. He fights because Americans are fighters. Iowans are fighters. We're not going to give up. We're not going to beg. We're not going to plead. We're going to fight for our freedom. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up, because that's who we are as individuals. We fight, and we fight to protect our freedom, the freedom that we got given to us at the price of blood from our founding fathers. Jason Davlar, there's better ways to lobby. Well, Jason, and I haven't got to the main point yet, so you better hold on. Jason, there's better ways to lobby, maybe. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but what I can tell you is that there are better ways to maybe be a man. And one of those is to not be a liar. And this kid is a liar. He broke his promise. He spat in the face of the very organization that he contacted when he begged us for help, and he lied. Does that work for you in Northwest Iowa? It doesn't work at my grandfather's farm in Sioux County. I doubt it worked anywhere else in Sioux County, and it dang sure was not how my good friend Dwayne Alon's ever conducted himself in Northwest Iowa. Louis says, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Amen, amen, amen. Amen. You and me, guys, we're fighters and we're winners, and that's how we've changed the dynamic here in Iowa over the last 10 years. Because don't forget, 10 years ago when this whole thing got started, when all this got going, 10 years ago, we had an anti-gun Democrat governor who hated constitutional carry. We had a Democrat-controlled House who hated constitutional carry, and we had a Democrat-controlled Senate who hated constitutional carry. And what's happened since then? We have got votes on constitutional carry and stand your ground law on a regular basis. Yeah, I'm reading these comments here are great. Nate says, okay, fine then, Jason. Donate to the Iowa Firearms Coalition and see where it gets you. Exactly. If you want to be part of a groveling, on your knees, beg, kiss butt attitude organization for the rest of your life, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to support Iowa gun owners, Jason. We just don't want to sit there and see gun owners be betrayed by lawmakers like Skyler Wheeler, who pledged to fight for gun rights and then stab us in the face once they're in office. But guys, I mentioned a little bit ago how this Northwest Iowa cares about guns. Well, actually, it's four things: God, guns, agriculture, and babies, the unborn. Now, look, we're going to talk about this for a moment in the context of a man keeping his word. So whether you care about the pro-life issue or not, that's immaterial to me. Whether you're pro-life or pro-abortion, that's not the point here either. The point here is that there are so many people out there who sit there and they ask themselves all the time. I see these comments are cracking me up, and it's hard to not read them all. I got Roger says, make America great again. Guys, that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We want to make Iowa great again when it comes to constitutional carry. There was a time we did not have to grovel and beg the government for a permit to exercise a Second Amendment freedom. And we are going to not stop until we get those rights restored. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. We are going to fight and fight and fight until we finish this fight, and we will win it. We will win it. I'm not sure when, but we're going to win this fight as long as we continue to stand up and demand action from these politicians. And so Skyler Wheeler, I lost my thumb. I misplaced my point there a minute ago. After all these years, with all these votes, and after all the work that gun owners have done all across Iowa at election time, we now have flipped the entire state. We've flipped the governor's mansion. We flipped the House. We flipped the Senate, and it was gun owners who did that. It was gun owners who did that. And so now is our chance, right? Now is our chance to take care of the big problems in Iowa's gun laws. Stand your ground law, check. Constitutional carry, check. And to eliminate Iowa's horrendous permit to purchase firearms. You know, of all the bills that Dwayne Alon's was the most excited to sponsor for us in the House, the one he cared about the most, and I can never figure out why. His big issue was always phasing out the permit to purchase handguns. And my big squeeze was always constitutional carry and stand your ground law. But he told me, I think he was the first person perhaps ever told me this. He said, Aaron, he said, these bills, these laws, a permit to purchase requirement, this came out of the old racist Jim Crow era, where according to the law, you guys can find it today. It's all over on Google. The idea was to keep undesirables from obtaining the right to carry a firearm, and that made his blood boil. And he said, this is not what this country was supposed to be about. And it's not what he was in the military for. And he was never, ever, ever going to be forgetting how much he wanted to fix this problem. Amazing guy. I see my good friend Tom Osmond says, IFC disgusts me. I worked at gun show booth right next to those fools. I believe it was in Waterloo back in 2016. They had no message. And we, IGO, were driving people towards stand your ground law petitions. IFC is a complete embarrassment to Iowans. And Tom Osmond should know, because Tom has poured, good gosh, Tom, how many dozens of hours of your life, maybe 100 hours of your life into gun shows across the state to mobilize Iowans. If we had 100 people like Tom Osmond helping every weekend, we'd finish this fight. And if we had 4 people like Tom Osmond in the Iowa House, we would have finished this fight. We would have finished this fight. I see my good friend Jed Dickens. I moved here from Georgia 3 years ago. My word and my handshake is my bond. Absolutely. It's not simply an Iowa thing, that's for sure. Oh man, there's so many people here. I see Arnie Hart, my good friend, lifetime member of IGO and also NRA. I wish I would have saved my NRA dues. I appreciate that, man. That's Arnie. That's incredible. So getting back to, and guys, if you're getting tuned in late, we're not really having so much of my normal, like, rapid fire, like 18 bullet point throwdown. We're just having a conversation today about the latest state rep who's out there trying to attack Iowa gun owners. This is little Skyler Wheeler. And he's the guy. And has anybody seen Skyler get signed on yet? Because I'm not friends with Skyler, so I can't see if he's watching right now. I'd love to know. I'd love to know if he's watching. If anybody is friends with him and can see him at the same time, I'd love to know. And so we're talking about how he took all this support from gun owners at election time, how he begged us for help with his TV ad, with TV ads that we paid for, that you guys paid for. And now he's on Facebook saying there's only 2 lobbyists in Des Moines who are fighting for gun rights. And that's the Iowa Firearms Coalition and the NRA, trying to attack us as hard as he possibly can. And so, again, this all kind of kicked off last night when a supporter of ours, a lifetime member out of Hull, called me. And he's like, he said, I see Skyler attacking you. And he said, and I know how much work IGO did back in the day. I see Phil Rowe. Is Skyler attacking us right now, Jason, or has he been doing so previously? And so he says, he said, I just want you to know that I have known the truth about Skyler for some time, because my biggest issue, he said, even more than guns, is babies. And of course, like I said, I know Western Iowa. It's where I grew up. I know Sioux County. I lived there off and on in my grandparents' basement, off and on for summers in a row, paving blacktops, paving Highway 20, paving all over the Western Iowa to pay my way through college. And I lived in my grandparents' house for a long time. We went there, gosh, every single Sunday as kids. I mean, this is home country. Home country. And so this guy cares more about babies than he does guns. That's great. And he said, so my big issue, he said, why I voted for him was, he said that he was going to be a rock for the unborn, that when he ran against Jeff Vanderwerf, that he was going to be a immovable rock who was going to fight for the unborn. He said, so between guns and babies, he was my choice. He was my choice. He said, you know what I found out? He said, it took me a long time to find this. And he said, but I found out, he said, just a while back, that not only did he take all the support from gun owners and stab them in the back, so I also find out that in less than 3 weeks, and Jeff Davlar, I hope you're still watching right now, because this is what I've been talking about, man. And I see Chance Booker getting in right now. Chance, I still have your T-shirt ready to ship out. I have your address right here. I've got your large size T-shirt. It's going out very soon, my man. Been a busy week, but it's going out. I appreciate your support, Chance. And so he says within a matter of weeks, between getting to Des Moines, he not only does not fight for the unborn, he freaking votes for taxpayer-funded abortion. And I got to tell you, I couldn't believe it. I needed to, well, that's not true. I could believe it, but I didn't know what this guy knew. And so I said, you're going to have to give me links. You're going to have to give me links. I have to be able to see this. And again, this is Iowa gun owners. And so our issue is guns. But I want to draw this contrast, because whether your issue is guns, whether your issue is babies, whether your issue is taxes, whether it's immigration, whether it's build the wall, whatever your issue is, we all expect that when a lawmaker promises that they're going to, to fight for gun rights, that they're going to fight for gun rights. And we expect that when they promise to fight for the unborn, that they're going to fight for the unborn. Whatever it is they promise, as Iowans, we all expect them to keep their word, right? And so he tells me that after he, this is in Wheeler, has taken all this support from the pro-life community in Western Iowa, that he casts a vote for taxpayer-funded abortion. And I said, man, you got to send me links. I have to be able to see this with my own two eyes. Now, guys, I've read hundreds of gun bills in my life. I've written tons of gun bills in my life. I know a lot about gun politics, a lot about gun code. I'm not an expert in this area. And so I need you guys to double check me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm reading this right. And so, Jason, if you're watching, and anybody else in Western Iowa, if you're watching, you guys know, again, there's nothing more sacred in Western Iowa than babies, nothing more sacred than the unborn. And Skyler promises he's going to fight for the unborn. Yet, and again, so I'm not an expert in this field, so I need people, if I'm wrong, you guys let me know and someone help check me on this, because I want to make sure we have this exactly right. But I have the House Journal here. This is the House Journal. This is the archive of the daily floor action in the House or Senate chamber, as the case may be. And this is dated January 30, 2017. So this was, and he got elected in 2016. And I checked on my computer here a minute ago. The first day of session in Iowa in 2017 was January 9. Pretty standard start date. So January 9 is the swearing-in ceremony. 21 days later, but they don't work on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So legislatively speaking, it was probably like 10 or 12 or 14 days later, less than a month, either way, within weeks of him getting down to Des Moines, Skyler Wheeler votes for an appropriation to fund taxpayer-funded abortion. Taxpayer-funded baby killing. And again, for the 13th time, this is Iowa gun owners, I get that. I happen to be pro-life. If you are or not, that's really less important to me than the concept here, which is you keep your freaking word. You keep your promise. You keep the pledge that you made to the people who brought you to the dance. And in Northwest Iowa in District 4, there's nothing bigger than pro-life. And that's why Twain Lunds was a champion for the unborn. But Skyler goes the opposite direction within weeks. This is Senate File 130. We have some great researchers on this page right now. We have some great people out there in Iowa who are experts at going through the archives and kind of seeing and uncovering all this stuff. And so maybe you guys can help me double check this, but this is Senate File 130, and it's the appropriations bill for taxpayer-funded killing, for taxpayer-funded abortion, Senate File 130. And the A's are listed right here. The A's are right here. And right here on top of my thumb, maybe you guys can see it, maybe you can't. Right there on top of my thumb is Skyler Wheeler. Skyler Wheeler. And I couldn't even fathom that until I said, well, maybe this is a different appropriations package. Maybe this is not that. And I said, you got to show me the actual link of where this goes. I see Arnie Hart saying that Skyler's trying to defend himself on his Facebook page. That's fine. He can say what he wants. We have the facts here. We have the details here. And we're going to get this entire story said. River Gray, I see your question. Where is he from? River, Skyler is from, I think, either Oregon or Washington State. He came out to Northwestern College in Orange City to play baseball in some kind of a scholarship program. I guess he liked the area, and I decided, boom, I'm going to run for the Iowa House. And I think he worked for a couple months, maybe, or for a little bit at Staples or something, but he has no ties here. He has none of the moral compass that you would expect that people from Northwest Iowa have. And if anybody is watching right now from Northwest Iowa, give me a thumbs up, because we're going to talk about Senator Randy Feenstra in a moment as well. And what an incredible contrast you have between Senator Feenstra and Skyler Wheeler when it comes to guns and babies. And so I asked him, I said, can you give me a link to, deeper into this bill? And so he sends me, this is page 10 of the appropriations bill under Senate File 130. I see my good friend Colby Dre. Colby Dre is one of those kind of guys who's been calling Skyler Wheeler out for a long time. And then Skyler, rather than having a quiet humility to talk with him and explain himself, he attacks my good friend Colby. He's been doing that for a long time. Colby, I should have warned you before we went live, Colby. This entire video has been talking about the type of person that Skyler Wheeler is and how horrendously far he has strayed in his very short time here in Iowa. So, Colby, you, of all people, are going to want to back this broadcast up and watch this one from the beginning. I can assure you of that. And so as someone is saying, that's why he's no good. He's not from Western Iowa. Hey, I am not going to lie. I'm not going to oppose that. I love Western Iowa. It's home. Iowa's home for all of us. That's why and I keep coming to come back to how all these lawmakers in Des Moines, they think it's all about Des Moines. They think it's all about politics and policy and lobbyists. This is about freedom. This is about freedom. This is about freedom. It's about our children. It's about our grandchildren. And it's about making sure that they have the same rights, the same freedom that we have, that we inherited from our grandfathers, from our great-great-grandfathers, from our forefathers who paid the price in blood. I see Arnie Hart, my good friend, is talking to Skyler, and he says, I filed my own bill. Dor is lying. Keep making crap up. Love watching how you guys know more about me than I do. Skyler, let me give you some advice. I'm not a 70-year-old man. I'm not a 90-year-old man. But, son, I got more life experience than you have. And most every single person watching this broadcast right now has way more experience than you have about life and about fighting for what you believe in. You have crumpled like a cheap suit in just a couple short years. And you know what? If I was you, I would just shut up for a little bit and let the adults talk, because what you have become is nothing less than a mockery of the legacy of real men who held this seat for years before you. So maybe keep your mouth quiet and learn. Okay? That's a good thing to do, Skyler. Okay, so he draws my attention to page 10 of this appropriations bill. And again, guys, the date of this bill, the date of this act, and one more thing, Skyler, if you think you can attack my friends, if you think you can attack a good guy like Colby Dre and just attack him and attack him and attack him, and you don't think that this family of gun owners is going to stand up and let everybody know what kind of a chump you have become, you've made a mistake, dude, because this organization is going to fight until we finish the constitutional carry battle, and we don't care how many man boys, man child get in our way, period. So again, guys, this is January 30, 2017. This is on page, what is this? Page 145 of the day's journal. This is Senate File 130. And if you follow that, you'll see what exactly is covered in this appropriations. And I'll hold it right up here. Maybe you guys can see it. And again, for the 13th, 14th, I guess it's 14th time now. This has nothing to do with whether or not you're pro-life or not. This is about a man keeping his word. This is about a man who will do what he says he will do, not just when it's easy up in Sioux County. Because if you're watching, guys, and you're from Western Iowa, you probably know about this. They have what they call pizza and policy. And Skyler, he's well known for this. He goes into Pizza Hut, Pizza Ranch. I'm sorry. It's Pizza Ranch. We all know in Western Iowa where the best pizza is. I'm sorry, it's Pizza Ranch, hands down. He goes into Pizza Ranch, And he gets there, and he says he sits up there and he kind of strokes his two facial hairs, all two of them, and he's like, the thing in Des Moines is that we just don't have enough conservatives who will fight, and so, I've committed that I'm gonna fight. I gotta be more combative. I gotta fight more for our conservative agenda. Actually, that was a horrendous impersonation because the guy has no deep voice. I don't know why I did that. I guess it's kind of my habit. I guess it's my habit. But I should have gone the opposite octave, but I can't do it. I should have tried that maybe sometime later. And so everybody at Pizza and Policy in Western Iowa, they're always like, oh, Skyler, yeah, you're this champion. You're the champion. And you know why they think that? It's because everybody in Western Iowa knows that he's filling the seat of a man who was a champion. They expect this talk because this is what Dwayne Luns said and did. Only in Skyler's case, this is what he says, and he comes down 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes down here to Des Moines, and he does the exact opposite. And he's hoping and praying that nobody finds out. Well, this is what we got for you, folks. This is page 10 of the appropriation. This is January 30, 2017. This is about I'm not a math major. Someone help me out. He got sworn in. Hang on here. He got sworn in on January 9, 2017. Okay, that's the first day of session, January 9. And then this happened on January 30. And you have weekends in there where they're not working, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So January 30 minus January 9 minus those 3-day weekends, that's how many days this little kid has been in office. And on this day, he votes yes on this taxpayer-funded murder appropriation. I couldn't believe this until I saw it last night, until this guy gave me the links, put them in my phone, and says, check it out. One of my friends says 21 days total in office. Greg Cummings says, actually, that's the first thing you said I disagree with. The Pizza Shack in Lamoni has the best pizza. Greg, I'd like to call you a liar, but man, I just don't know. I've not been to the Pizza Shack in Lamoni, and now with the weather like it is, I probably can't get there today. So I'm going to have to take your word for it, and someday I'll check it out myself, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are. And so he says that he's going to be this pro-life champion, but right here he votes for taxpayer-funded murder. It says this is a 1.3 billion with a B, billions and billions, right? Lots of money here. $1.3 billion. This is amending Iowa 2015 Acts, Chapter 137, Section 132, and they are amending it with this new appropriation. This is found on, this is page 10, line 25, and it says, for medical assistance program reimbursement and associated costs as specifically provided in the reimbursement methodologies in effect on June 30, 2016, except as otherwise expressly authorized by law, consistent with the option under federal law and regulations, and contingent upon the receipt of approval from the governor of Iowa of reimbursements for each abortion performed under this program. I don't know how else to say this. This is incredible stuff. Obviously, 1.3 billion is not being spent on abortions. The point is, this is a portion of the appropriations budget. My comments are bouncing all over my page. Trevor Thomas says this is a guns group, not a pizza group. That's true. But man, there's a lot worse things to argue about besides pizza. So I'm not saying that $1.3 billion went to abortions. Folks, I don't care if 2 pennies went for this. It says right here, and this I'll skip through the legalese this time. It says right here, contingent upon receipt of approval from the office of the governor of reimbursement for each abortion performed under this program. Folks, it's right here. Skyler Wheeler voted 21 days after he got into the Iowa House. 21 days after he gets in the Iowa House to kill unborn babies with your money. With your money. And so if you, these comments are killing me here. It's great. Pizza and guns and God. God bless America, says Jed Dickens. I dig it, man. Because we're Americans and we're Iowans and we love all three. So again, this is what we're talking about. When we talk about these people that get elected and they run down to Des Moines or run up to Des Moines or over to Des Moines, whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden, when they were bold as a lion back home, when they were bold at pizza and policy, telling people how they were going to sit there and fight the conservative fight, 21 days after he gets elected to office, he gets blown out of the water. He becomes a complete coward, and he votes for taxpayer-funded abortion. If that makes you mad, give me a thumbs up or an angry face, because it grinds my gears in a way that I can't hardly express. Because this is why it's the same cowardly attitude. This is why he also then would not sponsor constitutional carry, because he is a coward. He is a chicken. He's a chicken. And this illustrates the character of the man boy, Skyler Wheeler, who is now out there telling everybody, oh, Iowa gun owners is horrible. The only lobbyists who are fighting for gun rights, that's the Iowa Firearms Coalition. You know what? If I took PAC money from a gun rights organization and I had them help get me into office and I had them fight for me and I promised to sponsor their biggest objective, their biggest issue, and then within a matter of 10 days said, screw you to that same organization, and 21 days later, I voted to kill unborn babies with taxpayer money, yeah, I'd probably be attacking Iowa gun owners too. Why? Because we remind them of everything they said they would be. We remind them of what they said they would be, and they hate it when somebody holds them accountable. They hate it. I see my good friend Eric Dennison hopping on right now. Eric, you've missed a heck of a video, and you're going to have to get watch it from the beginning once we wrap this up. And we have a ways to go yet, guys. So don't go away. Don't go away. I mean, to me, and again, whether your issue is whether you care about guns, whether you care about babies, whether you care about taxes or spending or red light cameras, whatever it is, if a person can't keep their promise about defending unborn babies, if a person can't keep their promise about the unborn, people who are totally defenseless, then is there any wonder why he won't keep his promise on anything else? If he can't do it for this, then when will he become a man? When will he find his principles? When will he stand up and fight for anything down here in Des Moines? Because if he had told people in Sioux County, Iowa, that within 21 days of being elected, I'm going to go down to Des Moines and vote for taxpayer-funded murder, they would have literally gone to the co-op gas station in Sioux Center, where I've got gas like a billion times from my grandpa's truck over the years. They'd have got a hot tank of oil. They'd have gone down to the mall and gone and bought a pillow and ripped it open, and they would have poured hot oil over his head and covered him and tarred and feathered him and left him tied to the post office sign right across Main Street on Highway 75. That's what they would have done if they knew he was going to come down to Des Moines to pay for unborn baby killing. And he has the gall to say we are lying. Can you believe this stuff? Can you believe it? And if gun owners knew that within 10 days of him being elected into office, they would have kicked him out at the curb. They would have kicked him out to the curb. Three-way primary, Kevin Van Otterloo, Jeffrey Vanderwerf, Skyler Wheeler. Anybody would have won besides Skyler Wheeler if he had told the truth. And you know what's funny now? And here's what's hilarious now. Right now, in case you guys don't know this, Randy Feenstra, and if anybody is confused as to why we're talking about the unborn, because I have one more example you've got to hear about. If you're confused why I'm talking about that, it's symptomatic. It's symptomatic of what happens to all these Republicans who they go around the district. They go around and around and around their districts telling everybody how pro-gun they are, how pro-life they are, how this, how that, especially in a primary and especially in Northwest Iowa. And they come down to Des Moines and they do the exact opposite. They do the exact opposite. So the pro-life issue is a great example other than guns, because heavens knows we have tons of examples on guns. It's a great example of what we're talking about. So you look over at the Senate side. What do you see? What do you see? This year, Senator Feenstra, longtime fighter down here in Des Moines. Senator Feenstra, what's he do? He's the leading co-sponsor on constitutional carry. Remember, Skyler never co-sponsored any constitutional carry bill here in Des Moines. He was the leading co-sponsor. And if you guys know Randy Feenstra, you know the guy's like, gosh, what is he, 6'6"? And the guy's huge. The guy's great. So I don't know if he, reached across the table and took it, from somebody else, if he was the first guy in line. But Senator Feenstra was the first guy to co-sponsor this bill. First guy. David, hold on, I'll come back to that. David says, so I commented on Skyler's Facebook page about constitutional carry, and he just told me to quit listening to the scam artists at Iowa gun owners in a personal message. David, I know this little man boy, and I bet right now he's probably has gastrointestinal issues right now. I bet the guy is sitting there terrified because he knows, Skyler knows, he knows that we're going to promote this video. He knows that everybody in Western Iowa is going to see this. He knows that everybody, whether they're on guns or babies or taxes or whatever else, is going to know by tonight what a two-bit liar he is. Everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. So I'm not surprised he's saying, because David reminds me of my point from yesterday. What Skyler is saying, he says, don't listen. This straight up reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. And what happens? Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and Toto, they go to see the wizard, right? They go to see the wizard. And what happens? It's this big, scary Wizard of Oz, the great big green face and the fire and the smoke. Now what happens? Toto goes, that little dirty dog, Toto, he goes and he grabs the curtain and he pulls it back. And what happens? Everybody sees the truth. Everybody sees the truth. That the big bad Wizard of Oz is actually an old man who's about 5 feet tall. And what's he say? Pay no attention to the man behind that curtain. Pay no attention. So when I see little Skyler telling David, pay no attention to Iowa gun owners, I cannot help but think he reminds me of that little man on the Wizard of Oz. Guys, if that resonates, I think it's a great metaphor. Anybody here agree with me? I think it's a great metaphor. And again, I think what it means is that must mean I'm Toto, which I'd like to be a German Shepherd, not Toto, if I had my say, if I had my way. So we'll have to work on the metaphor. But that's what we're talking about. This is incredible stuff. I see so many guys getting signed on right now. My good friend Eric and Brian, and so many guys that have missed this broadcast. Probably my most laid back, most detailed broadcast I've ever done. So guys, when you get a chance, when we're done, check that video out from the beginning. This is important stuff. I see a lot of people laughing at me being Toto. So I think a lot of people are digging the metaphor. I see my sister giving me a whole bunch of laughing faces. Anyway, so down here in Des Moines, when Skyler won't sponsor gun bills after he said he would do so, and Skyler votes 21 days after he gets elected to kill unborn babies, when that's what he's doing, Randy Feenstra First thing he does this session is co-sponsor constitutional carry. Constitutional carry. What's the next thing that Senator Randy Feenstra does? Oh, yeah. He filed life at conception legislation. You see, if you represent Sioux County, Iowa, that's what you do. You fight for the unborn. That's what Dwayne Allons did. He fought for principle. He fought for what he cared for. He fought for what he believed in. And you know what? Something else about Dwayne Allons, my good friend, who's long since passed away. Dwayne Allons, he knew that in being that man, he knew that by standing up and doing what he needed to do for his conscience, for his principles, and for his district, he knew it would cost him. He knew that the leadership team in the House, Speaker Rance, Speaker Paulson, he knew these people would hold this against him. And he told me that. He said, you know, I sure wanted to be chairman. He always wanted to be chairman of the Public Safety Committee because he cared a lot about guns, cared a lot about safety, cared a lot about the people. He loved Iowans. He loved Iowans. And he wanted to fight in this capacity, especially for Iowans. And he never got to hold the gavel. He never got to be the chair that he wanted to be. And it wasn't ever that he didn't know what was going on. He knew exactly how much it cost him. He knew exactly how much it cost him. But he didn't care because he was there to fight for principle. That's the kind of man he was. And I see Senator Feenstra right now fighting for life at conception. He filed it. He sponsored the bill. He got it past a subcommittee, which frankly in Iowa right now, given these moderate Republicans, that's a huge accomplishment. It's incredible. Props to Senator Feenstra for fighting for the unborn. Now, I don't know, because I haven't checked every single thing that Skyler has ever done, but to my knowledge, my working knowledge, he's never filed or done anything to fight for this life at conception bill as a chief sponsor. I could be wrong. And if I am, someone let me know. But it would fit totally with what he is, with who he is. He's a scared little man-child who got into the big boy game. He comes down to Des Moines. He promises all this stuff. He delivers nothing. He gets all this help from gun owners, from our PAC, which means you guys, you donors. And now, as we call him out, right now, literally as I'm talking, little Skyler Wheeler is saying, don't listen to Iowa gun owners. Aaron Dorr is a scam artist. He loved us when he begged for help in 2016. He loved us when we were out there lit dropping in 2016. He loved us when our TV ads were all over KTIV Channel 4 in 2016. He loved us. He loved us then. Now that we call him out, that's when he gets angry. And folks, I got to tell you, I don't know about you, but I much prefer the devil who wears the horns, got the horns, and he has the red pitchfork, and he has the cape, and he has the tail, than I do a devil who walks around quoting scripture. The devil who walks around saying, I'm for the babies, and then votes to murder them with taxpayer money. The guy who says, I'm for the Second Amendment, and then refuses to ever keep the basic campaign promise that he made and refused to sponsor the bill. If you guys understand what I'm saying, if that resonates, if the idea that we can't stand people who are closet enemies, if we can't, because to me, there's nothing worse than the wolf that dresses up as the sheep. At least when you're a wolf, the hunters will kill you. Right? At least when you're honest, people can make the decision. And like I said 20 minutes ago, if this little man-child was honest, he would have been tarred and feathered from a light pole in Sioux Center if he said he was going to vote for taxpayer-funded murder. Incredible people. Incredible people. Jed Dickens says that's what the Nazi Progressive Socialist Party does. They tell you one thing, and then dinny, they call you names and tell you lies and beg you to cover their butt. I see my good friend Tom Osmond says, tell Skyler to shut his lying, baby-killing pie hole. Well said, Thomas. What a man. Thomas, I haven't seen you in about 1.5 years or 2 years. We've got to get coffee sometime. It's been a long time, my friend. Give me a call. Phil Rose says, they are like caged animals right now. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Terry, let's see here. Let's see. I'm reading some of the, I can't tell if Terry is cutting and pasting. I think that Terry is cutting and pasting from Skyler's video, from Skyler's feed right now. And he says that, well, why wasn't Aaron Dorr there in 2017, 2018? Skyler, the reason why you didn't see me there is because you're stupid and you're blind and you're so busy getting your face pressed right up against Matt Winchell's butt that you couldn't see around it. Because we all know it's what you do. You kiss it. We were there constantly. We sent out hundreds of emails. We did dozens and dozens of videos. We did hundreds of updates on social media. We generated tens of thousands of calls and emails into the Capitol. IGO members are the only reason why this happened. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. I see my good friend Kevin Wolfswinkel just jumped on. Kevin, you're an hour and 21 minutes late, but I can assure you, you want to replay this from the beginning. You want to do that. You want to do it. And by the way, guys, if anybody's trying to buy organic beef and you want to buy it from somebody you actually trust, I could not recommend Kevin's beef more. We just got some last Saturday, and my kids, they love it. They freaking love it. So that's my little plug for my good friend Kevin and his beef business. So moving on. So this is how this game is played. They're straight up liars with a smile on their face. And when someone dares call them out, this is what Skyler does. Plugs his ears. Nah. You can't get me in trouble. You're a scam artist. You're a liar. And guys, we showed you ourselves. He voted for taxpayer-funded murder. Taxpayer-funded murder. And he did it 21 days after he got in office. The date was January 30, 2017. The bill number, Senate File 130. It's page 145 of the Journal that day. And you can verify it. And it's the 10th page of the amendment. Incredible. Dan says, what happened now in Sioux Center? Dan, we're talking about well, that's a great question, Dan. We're talking about what happened and what happened to House District number 4 that used to be held by a man's man, by a fearless, quiet champion who fought for what he cared about, fought for his district, fought for freedom, fought for America, Dwayne Allons, and how he passed that torch on with a brief interlude. He passed that torch on to Skyler Wheeler after he passed away. And this guy here has gone and done everything that his predecessor would never have done. He betrayed the unborn. He's betrayed gun owners. And now he's desperately trying to make sure that nobody knows what actually happened. He campaigned as pro-life, and then he votes for taxpayer-funded murder. Incredible stuff. I have someone right now who's sending me a note saying he also voted against life at conception. I got to get some verification on that. If we can confirm that, we're going to make sure everybody knows on that as well. But guys, and here's what's going on. And here's why he's so scared right now. Colby Dre and all these guys who've been talking to him and getting hammered and being attacked by Skyler, don't forget what's going on. I have to get a drink here, guys. You know what? I'm out of water, and I'm hoping that my wife isn't watching because she told me don't go to Chick-fil-A. It's too many carbs. And what did I do? I went right to Chick-fil-A. So I hope she doesn't see my drink here, but I'm dying for lack of thirst. Give me a moment here. Sorry, Kristen. I love you. So, and so he comes down here and betrays everything he cares about, everything his district supports. And now he's attacking us. And you know why? Because he is trying to take Senate district number 2, because Randy Feenstra is seeking statewide or seeking higher office next year, there's going to be a vacancy in Senate District number 2. And he wants that seat. And he wants that seat unencumbered. He doesn't want to have to fight in a primary for it. He wants to walk in there and inherit it. He wants to inherit it. Dan says, I will have my town not vote for him next time. I live there. Dan, that's phenomenal. My grandparents live there. I'm going to see them next week. I love Sioux Center. I've been there a kabillion times. I grew up in Ocheyedan, 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away. Phenomenal district. So he's trying to get into the Iowa Senate, and he wants a free ride. He wants a free ride. And he's terrified that the truth about his record comes out. He's terrified that pro-lifers and pro-gun voters are going to keep him where he belongs, which is unemployed, at least from elected politics down here in Des Moines. Trevor Thomas says, we need this passed and passed now. Passed now. I couldn't agree more. You know, something else, guys, on this same topic, I told you we'd circle back around to Jason Schultz. I told you we'd do that, didn't I? Well, here we go. This is the same crap that Jason Schultz is doing. Guys, it's not just Jason, and it's not just Skyler. All of these people right now in Des Moines are desperately trying to keep you and I, conservatives, pro-gun people, and we're not all conservatives. We have all kinds of people who are pro-gun, conservatives, Democrats, independents, whatever. They're all trying to make sure that we don't know what a bunch of hypocritical, lying bastards they are. And said, I'm sorry for my language. You know, I got to tell you, my wife pulled me aside yesterday, and she's not very pleased. And I kind of promised her I'd try to do better with that. And I kind of promised you guys too. I'll try. But I got to tell you, this tests a person's patience. And sometimes, you know, when it's been a long week, it's tough. It's tough. So apologize for those who were offended by that. But these people who are attacking us, Steve Holt out there attacking us like crazy. Steve Holt did the same thing. Where is his name? Here we go, right here. Steve Holt, taxpayer-funded murder. Tells everybody he'd never do it. Steve Holt told us he'd fight and he'd sponsor constitutional carry. Never did it. Little Matty Winchell. You guys heard a lot about little Matty Winchell. You know this guy. He's the guy who wants to ban bump stocks. He's the guy who's okay with red flag gun seizures. He's the guy who tried to tank the immunity language in constitutional carry, right? In senior ground law. Sorry. Well, little Matty Winchell, have you ever seen him? I know it's hard to look past his face because the arrogance and the smugness, it traps you and it sucks you in. It's all you can see is the arrogance. But if you look down at his corner lapel, what do you see? You see the unborn baby feet. Because after all, he's the most pro-life lawmaker in the Iowa House. Well, guys, looky right here. Let me get my finger right here. Right on top of my finger right there. Maybe you can see it right there. Winchell, right there. Winchell. That's right. Matt Winchell voted for taxpayer-funded baby killing. And this guy has the gall to come out here and say that we are a scam, that I am a liar, that I am a fraud. Matt, you're going to answer to God one day for what you've done, and you might answer to your voters one day in a primary. We'll have to wait and see. I can tell you guys right now, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to tell you guys right now, there is a state senator right now where a guy calls me yesterday. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say what district. I can't say that yet. But he is so angry at what they did in the Capitol a couple days ago. He's so angry at what his senator is saying about this bill. He's so angry that his Republican senator is attacking Iowa gun owners. He told me he passed a candidate affidavit around his workplace on yesterday, and he already has 60 names on this petition. So we're not going to talk about who that is right now, but Iowans are not stupid. Iowans are far from stupid. Iowans know what's happening here. Iowans know we're being played. We're being played for a fool. And they're going to hold him accountable. This one guy has already got the candidate affidavit papers, and he already has 60 people who have signed his petition for ballot access. He only needs 100. He needs 100 to do the ballot. That's going to happen. So Windshill is going to answer for his sins, and he's going to answer for these votes. He's going to answer for these votes. Maybe in a primary, maybe not, but he's going to answer for these. So keep this in the back of your mind when these people are the ones who are out there saying, oh, Iowa gun owners is horrible. Keep it in the back of your mind. They're all pledge breakers. They're all liars. They're all working to advance themselves. And that's a great question. People say, well, why even talk about these issues if they're not going to fight for them once they're in Des Moines? Folks, it's politics. That's how you get elected, especially in Western Iowa. Especially in Western Iowa. See, where, you know what? I forgot. I forgot. Oh, man. This is what happens when I go off script for an hour and a half. I forget. The same thing happened with little Senator Jason Schultz. Life at conception legislation comes up on the floor for a vote. Life at conception. Incredible pro-life bill. This would have been mid-March. I don't have the date, but it was mid-March, maybe 12, 13, 14 of 2017. And Jason Schultz, the same guy who is attacking me now, I'm a liar, con man, flim-flam man, I'm getting rich on gun politics. You know, I wish Jason could come here and see my 21-year-old Honda Accord right now as the snow is just about fully melted off the front bumper. Can't wait to get back to my family here shortly. Welcome to come by, Jason. Welcome to come by. We know why Jason's angry, because Jason has sold his soul too, and not just on guns. March 2017, life at conception legislation is voted on the floor in the Iowa Senate. Now, Jason Schultz, if you guys know Jason, he comes from Western Iowa. What is that? District number 9, SD 9. I believe it's 9. Yeah, it's 9. Perhaps second most pro-life seat in the state, only to Randy Feenstra's up in Northwest Iowa. You would think that maybe he would vote for this, right? No, he votes against it. He votes against it. Incredible. Votes against the unborn, votes against the babies, votes against life at conception. Senator Bertrand fought for the unborn. Senator Chapman fought for the unborn. 10, 20 thereabouts lawmakers voted for the unborn. Not Jason Schultz. Not Jason Schultz. You see a trend here? All these people, they're 100% pro-gun. They're 100% pro-life. Skyler Wheeler. There's not a baby I won't fight to save. There's not an unborn life I won't work to protect. 21 days later, he votes to kill the unborn with taxpayer-funded abortion. Incredible stuff. Somebody asked a little bit ago, I think it was Phil or it was Kevin, what's the bill number? This, again, is Senate File 130. This took place on January 30, 2017, and it was the HHS Appropes budget section. This is on page 10 of the appropriation, line 25 through 31. A portion of that says, contingent upon receipt of approval from the office of the governor of reimbursement for each abortion performed under this program, $1.3 billion with a B dollars set aside, part of which under the HHS budget, part of which would go to kill unborn babies. Incredible. Dave Gertie's, I probably butchered your last name, Dave, and I apologize. Dave says, you want to see Wheeler's page. All he could say is, doors are liars, doors are liars, doors are liars. Yeah, well, that's all he's got left. That's all he's got left. He's been proven to be a liar when it comes to the unborn. He's been proven to be a liar when it comes to guns. And now he's just desperately hoping that he can get into that Senate seat into that Senate seat with a free pass. With a free pass. Incredible. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Let's see. I'm reading some of the comments here. There's so many comments. Got Chris telling me that Wheeler is saying on his page that we're all liars. What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, I know what it means. Oh, is it Chris? Does that mean he's attacking us because you guys work in other states on gun politics? Let me know the answer to that question right away. I think what Skyler is trying to say now is that, oh yeah, we work in those doors. They work in lots of states. They work in lots of states. They're horrible people. If you guys have missed the Second Amendment Daily Show, we do it here on this page every Thursday night, or usually every Thursday night. If you've missed it, you missed out. You want to check it out. It's a great show. But man, my brother Chris has worked for Ohio gun owners for 4 years now in Ohio. Ben has worked for 4 years now for constitutional carry and senior ground law in Minnesota, fighting against the ravaging hordes of the DFL, of Governor Walz, and everybody else who's trying to destroy what's left of Minnesota. We love fighting for freedom. We love fighting for gun owners. We love fighting for the Second Amendment. In fact, we're well known all over the place. We fight like hell for gun rights every chance we get. And we're so proud to do it. We're so proud to be the representative of our members in these state capitals. Guys, we'll never quit. We love fighting for you. We love fighting for our members. We love fighting against pathetic, spineless Republican cowards like Matt Winchell and Skyler Wheeler, and against anti-gun Democrats like Mike Gronsel. We've done this for years. We love fighting for freedom, and we're never going to stop. We're never going to stop. I mean, last year, after constitutional carry was killed in the Senate chamber for the first year, a good friend of mine told me, hey, you know what? There's going to be a huge fight this year on stand your ground law in Wyoming if you guys can help us. And so once my session was DOA in Iowa, I hopped in a rental car, kissed the wife and kids goodbye, and I spent, 22 days in Wyoming helping Wyoming gun owners. We drafted one of the nation's most incredible stand your ground laws, and we got it passed in a state that, well, it should have been easy, was anything but. It was a huge battle. We fought like dogs, and we got it done. In Missouri in 2016, it was myself and my brothers who worked with the brand new Missouri Firearms Coalition. In that state, they wanted to get constitutional carry passed. What's funny to me is the bill sponsor in Missouri in 2016, he first heard about constitutional carry in Iowa in 2009. And that's because that was our first year pushing for it. We rolled down into Missouri in 2016 at the end of the Iowa session after Mike Gronstal killed constitutional carry, and we hammered through the mother of all gun bills in Missouri in 2016. Constitutional carry, stand your ground law, enhanced castle doctrine, lifetime carry permits. This was the Christmas tree of all gun bills, and we made that happen. We love fighting for freedom. Right now, my brother Ben is in a tough state. Governor Dayton from last year in Minnesota was desperate in his last year to pass a sweeping gun control bill in Minnesota, and Ben fought like an animal and killed off a massive gun control battle. I got to tell you, Ben is up to his eyeballs right now in Minnesota, fighting against the biggest attack on gun rights that Minnesota has perhaps ever seen. He's unapologetic. He doesn't give an inch, and he will be successful, is my prediction in Minnesota. In Ohio, who all knows the name John Kasich? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment section. Hell, give me an angry face, because we all know that's what John Kasich makes us, angry. He may primary President Trump. He keeps saying he will. John Kasich last year in Ohio, his last year in office, he got term limited out. John Kasich in Ohio, what's he do? He makes it his mission in life to pass red flag gun seizure laws. And he said in his testimony, in his statements, that if we can pass it here in red Ohio, it'll pass in other red states. And you know what? He was right. If it continues to pass in red states, it's going to sweep the country. It almost did last year in Iowa because little Medi Winchell tried doing that here in Iowa. And Chris fought and fought and fought and fought for weeks and months and almost a year. And he killed this biggest threat to gun rights in Ohio. And what he did in doing that and killing this incredibly pernicious gun seizure bill was he helped single-handedly, but not quite, because it's on behalf of all the members, but the members of the organization in Ohio, they single-handedly stopped the advancement of red flags in these red states all over America. That's what my brother did. We're never going to apologize for this. We're never going to stop this. The only reason, and out there, I remember they had a massive rally at the front steps of the Capitol in Columbus last year, over 1,000 people out there. And, you would have had to hold me back with chains to keep me from going to that rally. And I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it because that was the day that I was stuck out in the Wyoming state capitol as stand your ground law passed into law at the exact same time. So I told my brothers, there's no way I won't be there with you guys at this rally in Ohio. And I had to break my promise. I guess that makes me kind of like Skyler Wheeler, huh? I had to break my promise because that was the same day that the governor in Wyoming made a stand your ground law a reality, and it put a capstone on a great big fight that I had helped lead, had the honor of leading out there in that state. So guys, this is the kind of people that I am, that my brother is. I know that every single person watching this video right now, we all have the same desire. We want freedom for our families. We want freedom for our spouses. We want freedom for our children. We want freedom for our great-great-great-great-grandchildren. Our founding fathers didn't think in terms of one generation. They didn't think in terms of themselves or even of their great-great-grandkids. They fought in terms of generations that they'd never even meet. And they wanted to make sure they had the kind of freedom that they knew we had to have. And that's what they did. That's what they gave us. That's what they gave us. And we have to think in the same way now. It's not even so much about our freedom today. It's what happens for our children and our grandchildren and 10 generations down the road. We love our children. We love our country. We love our freedom. And as Americans, we hate politicians who trample on our freedom. We hate politicians who use the most dearly held principles that we have in our heart. We hate those same politicians who treat those things like political talking points just to get elected into office. We will never, ever give them a pass. They paid for the price of our freedom with their blood. The least we can do is fight to maintain it. And folks, when we have spineless little baby-faced cowards like Skyler Wheeler out there trying to attack us, we all know why. He's trading principle for power. Remember how I told you how my good friend Dwayne Alonz did not get to become the chairman of the committee he wanted so bad because he knew that with his voting record, his conservative principles, he knew that the leadership would keep him from it, but how it never held him back, how he always fought for his principles. You guys want to know who became a committee chairman in January down here in Des Moines? Any guesses? Any guesses? That's right, Skyler Wheeler. He now is the chairman of, I think it's the Economic Development Committee, the Econ Development Committee. He now is a chairman of a very powerful committee. This is the exact same thing they would never give to Dwayne Alonz because he fought for us. But they all know Skyler Wheeler, he is only doing this for himself. They cling to power because it's all they care about. Skyler Wheeler, in closing, guys, and I see two of my best friends. I see Jennifer and Brent just hopped on. You guys have missed a show that it's been the making for a long time. It's a long one, but you should watch it if you have time. And guys, I want to tell you something about Brent. And Brent probably wouldn't want me to say this, but Brent's the kind of guy, you heard me yesterday talk about one of our supporters over in Sioux City who was broken up. He was broken up about the fact that he could not, that we did not pass constitutional carry in committee because he can't afford to get a permit. He can't afford to join Iowa gun owners. He can't afford to do what he wants to do. And Brent Carlson is the kind of man, he's the kind of man who called this office. He talked to me yesterday, and Brent Carlson paid for a membership in Iowa gun owners for that man over in Sioux City. And I got to tell you, it's incredible. This is who we are. The gun owners in Iowa are the best citizens you're ever going to meet. And Brent Carlson, I can't thank you enough. What you did and what that represented yesterday was incredible. Guys, give Brent a big thumbs up, because this is the kind of people that Iowans are. And I could not be more proud to be associated with this organization, of fighting for this organization, and being privileged to take the kicks in the teeth that come with being involved with this organization. We will never quit. We will never give up. And we will never, ever, ever give people like Skyler Wheeler and all the rest of these people who are attacking Iowa gun owners, we will never give them a pass. They will be held accountable, and we will pass constitutional carry here in Iowa. Guys, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your freedom, and recommit yourself. Redouble yourself to be willing to fight for these freedoms again come Monday. The battle is raging down here in Des Moines, and we need everybody to stand up and fight together. Brent Carlson says, we are gun owners. We are together. Thank you. We are family. And with that, guys, I'm going to sign off. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. More to come.